We'll do the opening again. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We're going to be covering WWE SummerSlam 2025. Last night was the big edition of Monday Night Raw. We went into Monday Night Raw. Basically, we might have known 2 or 3 matches for WWE SummerSlam. I can honestly tell you that I just have this weird feeling about this year's SummerSlam because of the fact that it's going to be a 2-night event. It's going to be coming to you from Newark, New Jersey, where the Giants and Jets play. We've had WrestleManias there in the past. It's going to be a big night. It's going to be a big moment. There's going to be a lot of people that travel in for the event. It's going to be one hell of a weekend with I'm sure they're going to have the big superstore. I'm sure they're going to have the superstar signings. I would hope they would do something like the WWE World to give the people like a moment to be going into it. But going into last night, we knew about the Jelly Roll, Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre versus Logan Paul match that was set up during Saturday night's main event. We'll get to talking about that match a little bit down the road, but really surprised how fast people jumped on that match, saying that it was trash, that it didn't really deserve to be on SummerSlam. A lot of people were saying like how, AEW had like one hell of a show with All In, and, they've sort of gone away from trying to bring in outside sources to watch their show to boost their numbers. They're just going to go strictly wrestling, and that's what it seems to work. And right away, WWE goes to a celebrity and tries to use that to spice it up, and that's possibly one of the moments that's going to be there. I think this is going to be a damn good match. I'm excited to see Jelly Roll. I can tell you that I think he's an awesome artist. I don't listen to him a ton. He's got country influences in his music that I think if I listen to him more, I honestly think that I would really like him. But it's not like this dude's going to be going out there working the entire match. We've seen, celebrity matches in the past. And as long as it's like Steve Amell at SummerSlam, I want to say that was like 2015, maybe it was 2016, with him and wasn't it him and Wade Barrett against Cody Rhodes? No, it was Cody Rhodes and Wade Barrett against Steve Amell and Neville Pac from AEW, and that really blew our mind. How far he was going to go. He really loved professional wrestling. On the other side, I can think of WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta with Snooki. That match is nowhere near good. But when they played the Jersey Shore music and she came down to the ring, people booed the hell out of Snooki. Nobody wanted to see her at WrestleMania. She did the one like cartwheel gymnastic spot into the corner, which set up the finish. And I think people saw that she took it serious and she tried and she didn't mess anything up. And, that night, everybody cheered Snooki out of the ring. You honestly really forgot the moment when she came out and she just got booed. I mean, I think that they're going to make sure that Jelly Roll gets into his spots where he is a big deal and people are going to like it. We also had Cody versus Cena for the World Heavyweight Championship match. We all know that that's going to be a big match. That's going to be main event night 2, and that's what people are going to be wanting to show up for. That's going to be a big deal. After Monday Night Raw, we basically got added Punk versus Gunther. We got Tiffany versus Naomi. Now we have Becky versus Lyra, Rhea versus Io versus Naomi. That's for the women's championship, with Naomi being the new champion after cashing in at Evolution. Just like she said on Raw, I thought she was going after the other belt, and she just came in and just basically said, "I'm gonna take this." Those are the matches that are locked in. They've already got match graphics. They've already put them out, and they've said that's going down. Now, after watching Raw, you would think that Dom versus AJ for the Intercontinental Championship. That's going to be locked in. We have Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu, United States Championship match. That should be no problem. And then the matches you got to kind of wonder about with 2 nights of SummerSlam and possibly them having more matches than the 4 to 5 match kind of deal. As of right now, I have 11 to 12 matches for both nights. Maybe that's averaging 6 matches a night. You would think Julia, the United States champion, she's got to have a match. I mean, they added these tag titles to the scene at when did they add these? They added these a few months ago. I mean, before WrestleMania, and then WrestleMania came and they had the Intercontinental Women's Champion in a tag match for the tag team titles. So that kind of shows you that the tag titles are higher on like the rankings than these singles belts. What is the point of having these belts if we're going to have 2-night events and we don't get to see the champion go down there? So Julia has to have somebody, maybe a Chelsea Green in there, possibly, I guess you can think of. And then with the Monday Night Raw tag titles, I think it's going to end up being the New Day versus the Raiders, and then Judgment Day will come in with the tag titles. On Monday Night Raw, when the New Day was in the back, they were asking for their rematch, and he said Adam Pearce said there are no rematches anymore. You have to work for them. You have to go out there and earn them. So possibly, I think it's just going to be a 3-way. We might get a match on Monday of the New Day versus the Raiders, but why not just have all 3 teams in there? I don't have the SmackDown tag titles that are going to be on there, but the Wyatt Six just won them. They've got DIY. They've got the Motor City Machine Guns. Maybe they're just possibly going to have another 4 corners like Bonanza match of everybody going on everybody. And we just do something like that. And the tag titles for the women's, I'm going to put Judgment Day going up against Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. A lot of people gave thanks to Charlotte's article. The Athletes Tribune that came out that said that how much hate she gets out there and on social media, just people just sending her messages about how much they hate her. I've always been a Charlotte fan. I understand the difference between, is it Ashley Flair and Charlotte Flair? I've never been at a point when I thought that, I hated her or anything like that. But it seems like they struck a chord where they turned her into a babyface. At Evolution, I think that Charlotte Flair got one of the loudest emotions of people pouring out their feelings to her. And I know that when the build-up to WrestleMania 41 was around, it seemed like Charlotte was trying to be the babyface, and then just at one point she was like, this ain't working, and she just decided that she was going to just straight go heel on everybody. And I don't really know what they're doing with the Alexa Bliss thing of them saying they're not friends, they're just working together. I think they got to run that back together. And the pouring out of emotion that Charlotte got, I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte and Alexa Bliss walk out with the tag titles there. And then the big one that could be split up, this could be 2 matches, it could be 1 match. I'm not quite sure how to help you with that. Calm down, Alexa. I ain't talking to you. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. I think it's honestly going to be a tag match. I know that you could break them up to fill out the 2 nights. If you go Roman Reigns versus Braun Breaker, that could be the big moment to where Braun Breaker was running through fools when he was doing the gauntlet match on Monday Night Raw. Maybe they were building him up because they knew that Braun has been looked at as he's a star. He's been a former Intercontinental Champion twice. He's beat Jey Uso, but there's a difference between wrestling Jey Uso and wrestling against Roman Reigns. And I think they just needed to make him look like it's going to be a big deal. John Pollock of Post Wrestling, they're based out of Toronto. They've been around forever. The Review Away podcast, where they talk about Monday Night Raw. They also review basically anything in the world of professional wrestling. They've done books, they've done movies, they've definitely done shows, pay-per-views. Ever since they went out on their own with Post Wrestling, I think they've honestly stayed the same, but gotten bigger. John Pollock on there. I used to love a podcast where Pollock would do one with the guy from MLW. I know he has another guy that he does. I think he comes out on Thursdays. I can't remember the other guy's name, but they kind of do the same thing where they just go over the world of wrestling news, kind of like headline by headline, and like break everything down the best they can. Pollock came out and he basically was saying that Rollins is not hurt. This is a storyline. He knew about the finish with LA Knight 2 days beforehand. And Pollock is a guy out there who's not trying to get himself over. I don't believe that he's lying to us. It makes no sense to make up a lie about that. I don't know, but I think they're trying to set up something for Seth Rollins that's going to be big, elaborate, for a big Money in the Bank cash-in moment, a good way or a bad way, and him sort of resurrecting himself when we all think that he's going to be on the shelf for, 6 months to a year because of his knee injury that has been around since WrestleMania 40. And then all of a sudden the dude just shows up at SummerSlam and is just ta-da. I mean, the Money in the Bank briefcase, they made no mention of, finding a new home for it. They didn't want to, pass it over. Like LA Knight beat Seth Rollins, so now he's the Money in the Bank holder. They had Heyman saying that he had a year to cash in from the day he won it. And, until that year is up, there is no headline to say that, he can't use this. So they're rolling with it, whatever it is, instead of trying to cover it up and make it disappear. It could go either way. I think Jey Uso versus Bronson Reed, it's not the biggest match of all time. But you could have, Jey Uso hit the, tsunami train of just getting hit, boom, 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 boom. And, or you could just have Jey Uso, rise from the ashes, beat Bronson Reed. And then you got to hope that, Gunther, retains the championship, and then all of a sudden, Jey Uso could find himself getting a rematch, going after that world heavyweight title. So it's a good card. It honestly is a really, really good card. They could do a little bit of fixing, not having so many three-ways with the tag titles. Julia possibly could not have a match. They could just leave her off or whatever it is, but that's pretty darn close to what it's going to be. It's just going to be like how they want to move things around. The main event of night one that honestly I would do to sort of, they have no problem coming out and saying that, matches that main event night one are main event matches of the show. They've used that for WrestleMania when talking about Sami Zayn, when talking about the Usos, when talking about Kevin Owens. I really believe that you got a main event night two. And I think that's what the storyline is going to be for CM Punk going into WrestleMania. He had his WrestleMania moment where he got the headline night one. Now I think it's going to be like he wants to go all in. I wouldn't be surprised that Punk wins the Rumble in 2026. We've already seen him go over the hump going to Saudi Arabia on the Night of Champions. So it's not going to be a problem with him going to Night of Champions for the Royal Rumble. I still think that's really, really weird. But it shows you in this world today, if you got enough money, you can buy anything. But WWE giving away one of the at least one of the big four. But, what is it? Like they run 11, 12, of these big shows a year, giving one of those away to go over there when they're already going over there. I don't know if that's going to count of one of the 2 shows they have to do throughout the year. It'd be a surprise if they go over there 3 times, but these guys give them so much money, and they might have to make up the 2020. I don't remember if they went over there in 2021 year. Maybe that's what they're trying to do is make up years on the contract when, COVID was going on or something like that. But I put Punk versus Gunther in that main event spot of night 1. Him, being in the main event spot, going after the World Heavyweight Championship. I had a question with it because at the end of Raw, Michael Cole, as soon as the match was done, said CM Punk, one of his main goals since coming back to WWE was winning a World Heavyweight Championship to, sort of put a trophy on his career. The ending part is not 100% what he said. I can't remember it 100%, but he definitely wanted to win one of the major championships in WWE. I guess it doesn't matter if it's a World Heavyweight Championship. It doesn't matter if it's WWE Championship. But then rewind a year and talk about, no, I scratch that. Rewind a month and think about Night of Champions and the build to there. When Cena and Punk were in the ring, Cena was talking, Punk was talking to Cena, and he said that he knows the emotions that come to him. Holding the WWE Championship, it changes you into a different person. It happened to him in 2011 to 2012, where he basically started his reign as a babyface and it ended up turning heel. And it was just that power and that greed and everything that comes with it. And that's why he doesn't want to be WWE champion, but he will fight Cena for that championship if it means that Cena is not going to be champion anymore. So he basically came out and he said that he didn't want to be champion, but Cole's saying he does. So does he or doesn't want any to be the champion? I think that's going to be it. But I don't think there's any doubt in my mind other than, a CM Punk going to Triple H and basically saying like, hey, I love being here. I love being on the roster. I love helping out all these guys. It's fun going out there and wrestling. Unless he comes to him and says, I don't want to be champion. I just don't want that kind of responsibility. I don't want to be carrying the ball. There's too many, stars in that locker room that could use it, that need it. I think Punk's winning this match. I mean, if I opened up like a wrestling casino where you could come in like a sports book and bet on wrestling, Punk would be my heavy favorite in this. Now, the storyline is really going to be that CM Punk is the aging superstar. He's been in the game, and Gunther's just going to beat him down. He's going to lean on him, put the choke on him and this, that, and the other. And how is Punk going to overcome that? The biggest bully that there is on the yard. But I'm not sure how he does that as of right now. But I got Punk winning that match. Chippy D asked me if there's any updates on the possible WrestleMania 42 trip. I'll tell you the truth, dude. Me and Miguel bought tickets. We're going to be going to Survivor Series in San Diego. I don't think we're doing that instead of going to WrestleMania. We haven't really had any discussion over booking a room for WrestleMania. I think we're really just waiting until finding out what the demand for tickets are. I think there's going to be a large amount of people that want to go to WrestleMania that have never done it before. I think there's going to be a large amount of people that just go to WrestleMania every year. I think there's going to be a large amount of people that went to WrestleMania 41, realized how expensive it is, and they're just going to wait until either New Orleans or whatever the next WrestleMania, which is going to be, which quite possibly could be Indianapolis, because they signed that 3-year deal where they get a SummerSlam, they get a Royal Rumble, they get a WrestleMania. So I think next year's WrestleMania has to be in Indianapolis, unless I mean, I haven't seen any logos for it yet, unless they find some way to buy out of the deal that Indianapolis paid them all the money for, or unless I have my 3-year deal not right in my head. But they're not getting. I can't remember if they've already had SummerSlam. Something tells me they've had SummerSlam. They had the Royal Rumble, so WrestleMania has to be next. So, I mean, I think there's going to be a large amount of people that just don't want to pay the Vegas prices. They don't want to pay the hotel fees. They don't want to pay the resort fees. They don't want to pay the the fees it costs to get food somewhere along the way. I think if you looked for it, there were options to eat on a budget. There was options to buy drinks on a budget. I think you just kind of have to work for it. You can't just walk down to the bar at the hotel. You can't, walk down to the store that is in the hotel. You had to walk to CVS. You had to walk to Target. You had to go out and you had to get those deals. And if you didn't do it, you paid for it. And I talked to a good buddy the other day on, I want to say it was Saturday, it might have been Sunday, who I met up with on the trip. And he said he was paying off his Vegas trip for a couple months after it was all said and done. He had a lot of fun, but he didn't really realize how much he spent until it was over. So night one, main event, Punk versus Gunther. I think that's what it's basically going to be. We've got, oh shoot, I wrote her name wrong. I'm not even going to tell you what I wrote wrong, so I'm not even going to talk about that match yet. So I feel bad for doing that. Monday Night Raw. We've got the Intercontinental Championship. We've talked a little bit about this match earlier, but we had the three-way just a little bit ago, and then once that was said and done, on Monday Night Raw, we had Lyra Valkyrie going up against Bayley. They had a 2 out of 3 falls match. Easily was the best match of the night on Raw. But I'll tell you the truth. This match is going to be for the Intercontinental Championship. I am done with Lyra versus Becky. The matches aren't bad. It just seems like we've seen this forever. And I think it's really cool. I'm not sure if WWE is using Becky to try and get the Intercontinental Championship over since they lost. They launched these belts. It's been hard for them to get traction on because they launched these new belts and then they just didn't use them. There's no house shows. There's no way to get these belts over other than putting them on TV, and they left them off for so long. Or I don't know if it's Becky trying to get Lyra Valkyrie. Damn. I don't know if it's Becky trying to get Lyra Valkyrie over, and that's why they keep running this match to death. But Becky has gotten the win in the last 2 the matches. Lyra has to get the win at SummerSlam, and they need to put this feud to end. Becky Lynch, in my opinion, I don't even know why she's messing around with this Intercontinental Championship. She's, won the Royal Rumble. She's main evented WrestleMania. She's been champion this time over. There was a time period around WrestleMania 5. Becky Lynch was the most over person there was in the company altogether. I mean that's the only way to do it. I remember the run-in between Becky and John Cena on SmackDown, where John Cena even called Becky Lynch the man and showed her respect that way. I don't know how you do it, but I mean it can't be that hard. Becky Lynch needs to be in made feuds, but then again, we might be at a point where Becky Lynch is wrestling for her own reason. It's not like she's married to Seth Rollins. They're not dying to pay the bills. She just wants to go out there and do something that she cares about. So maybe she just pointed at Lyra and was like, "Hey, I want her to have as good as a career I had, and if it takes me dropping down to have a feud with her to start off her career, I think she's all for it." I mean, I didn't think that when she lost that cage match to Liv Morgan that she was going to be on so damn long, but she's wrestling royalty to the point where people, really care about her. So I got Lyra winning the Intercontinental Championship back. I don't really know what night that's going to be, but I think that's going to be one of the matches on there. Naomi pretty much won the weekend of WWE Evolution. She had the match against Jade, and then she came back and she cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase during the Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky match, turning it into a three-way. She basically nailed Io, taking her out of the match with the briefcase, just right to the face. Went in there, hit the big move on Rhea, and surprise, surprise, she walked out with the champion. She called her shot. And people kept on thinking because she was on SmackDown, she was going to go after Tiffany. And, she's just basically said that she was done with SmackDown. SmackDown's possibly becoming a lot better of a show. They're going to be moving now to 2 hours. I believe this, I don't think many people watched the 4th of July episode. So I think it's going to be this episode of SmackDown. We're going to go to 2 hours, and I think it's going to be one of the first shows that people really notice the change. And I think 2 hours is really going to pick up the pace. You're possibly going to notice that a lot of superstars sort of fall off. Might get to a point when some superstars you really like might get released, and they're not going to be there anymore. But I think it's going to make for things in the better. But in this match, Rhea Ripley, the last few months, has really been fighting an inner battle with herself. Since leaving the Judgment Day, she's been like she still wears the dark. She's the black. She's the purple. She's like the Undertaker of the past of like 94. But when you're watching her in the ring, she has heel tendencies. I don't know how to put it almost any other way. Where it seems like she wants to go to back to the days of the Judgment Day when she was already the biggest and baddest. She was a lot like Gunther, but she would do an opportunity to get an advantage. She would do something like that. And I think this quest for her to get back the championship might turn her heel to the point where she kind of like drives herself crazy to get it back. Io Sky, I've gotten a lot of respect for. I had to eat my words. Basically, there was a time period when I didn't watch as much wrestling. And I remember when they said that Rhea was going to fight Io on Raw for the championship after Elimination Chamber. I was like, why are they hyping this up like a main event? Isn't Io Sky like a walkover? Isn't she just like the last one on the roster? That's honestly what I thought of her. I didn't know she was a former NXT champion. I didn't know about her time in Lucha Underground. I didn't know, she was a former champion on the main roster. I just didn't know. The chick's good. I think this match is going to come together really well. I think I'm surprised that they would do a three-way, but I think they're playing off of Evolution. With Naomi breaking up their singles match, I think the only fair thing for them to do is put all three of them in the match again. But then you think about the buildup of the match with Jade, with Rhea and Bianca. Oh, by the way, is Bianca on SmackDown now? Is that why she was the ref of that match? And did pretty much her and Naomi switch sides? Or no, wait a minute. Bianca always was on. No, I don't know. But fuck it. Bianca, she's on SmackDown now, I guess. For being that special guest referee. But I'm going to take Naomi to get the win here. I think they're going to get her over as champion. And she might not have the longest run in the world, but I think her reign is at least going to last one major pay-per-view along the way. Going to Women's Championship for the SmackDown side. We've got Tiffany going against Jade. Jade, again, of course, she won the SummerSlam title shot by winning the Queen of the Ring at Night of Champions. Who did she defeat in the final? I can't remember who she beat in the final on the pay-per-view. Maybe it was Naomi, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's a little bit of a weird match, honestly, in my mind. You're almost going babyface versus babyface. I know that when Tiffany was in NXT, even on the main roster before, coming out of Nia Jax's shadow, she was a heel. But you go babyface for a major championship. I don't know. I think we're going to see the coronation of Jade. I think Jade's going to come out on top in this one. I honestly, the more I watch Jade and more I pay attention to her in WWE, if she was heel, especially if they found some way. I know many women's wrestlers don't have, mouthpiece wrestlers, be their managers or anything like that. But if Jade had somebody that could be her mouthpiece and talk for her, I think it would make that character honestly so much bigger, so much better that, she didn't have to do the talking for herself. I just think that Jade's going to be Tiffany. I don't got no ifs, ands, and buts about it, but that's definitely a bet that I would make. It's taken a little bit longer for her to be the main chick in WWE since coming over from AEW. But I think it's time. I think that's what they're going to be doing with her. Move on to the celebrity match. They've been using celebrities definitely at SummerSlam, WrestleMania. You think about how many times celebrities have paid off, from the Mike Tysons, the Muhammad Alis. It's why they have the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame. We're going to be putting Jelly Roll out there in a match at SummerSlam. And people were pissed. I think the first wrestling headline that I saw came out was that Jelly Roll was going to be involved in some sort of an angle on SmackDown, which people were fine with. And then it came out that Jelly Roll had been training at the Performance Center, to do something at a wrestling match. And people thought that he would just get involved in a match. The second it came out that Jelly Roll was actually wrestling at SummerSlam, that people went bananas and lost their minds. I'm not going to say that Jelly Roll is going to be the best wrestler of all time. He's not going to become the new Gorilla Monsoon or anything like that. I think it's a one-off. And we've seen one-offs in the world of wrestling so many times. We've seen times when, wrestlers have gone on out there. Steve Amell at SummerSlam when he wrestled against Stardust with Wade Barrett and Pac from AEW. I mean, that was a really, really good match. I went in there with no expectations. I'm not the biggest comic book guy. I'd never seen Arrow in my life. I didn't know who the guy was. He was good. He was so good. The guy went on to make his own wrestling TV show that I think went for 2 seasons, maybe 3. It was on Stars. That show was good. Heels, I love it. I wish, I know Netflix has the rights and you could stream season 1. I think season 2 just went live on there. I know it's been a long time since the last season, but I would think it would be so cool if we got to see, what happened to his character once that last match was over and they made it seem like he paralyzed himself. Maybe he just had like a big stinger or something like that. But I would love to see what's going on there. But back to Jelly Roll. I don't think Jelly Roll is going out there to become a 5-star ring technician. I think we've seen this with matches a lot. Randy is going to do all of the work. Jelly Roll, if he's going to do much, he's probably more than likely going to be involved in the finish. If he's in the ring, he's probably just going to be getting beat up. Where he just has to know how to protect himself and not put himself out there to get hurt. And Drew and Logan Paul can just beat on him. They can kick him. They can put him down in the corner. They can put a chokehold on him. And in the world of professional wrestling, they're going to make sure that Jelly Roll doesn't get hurt. I think that Jelly Roll and Randy Orton are going to get the win in this match. I wouldn't be surprised if, win, loss, or anything else that comes up, disqualification. I would go bananas if Randy Orton hit Jelly Roll with an RKO. I want to see that honestly more than anything. They're going to be going up against Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Sometimes I honestly think too much about professional wrestling and how a character is being used. Drew McIntyre is involved with this because he had a match against Randy Orton at Saturday night's main event. And that sort of got looped into being a tag match because Logan Paul attacked Jelly Roll, who was only out there giving him like support during the Saturday night's main event match. I think Drew McIntyre would much rather have been in that Monday Night Raw gauntlet match. And don't tell me it's because he was on SmackDown that he couldn't be involved in the gauntlet match to get a shot to go after Gunther at the main event of SummerSlam, because LA Knight was in the match. So there ain't no reason that Drew McIntyre couldn't be in there. Drew, he came back after the Damian Priest cage match. I knew it was going to be a toss-up. I guess in the long run, it didn't really matter who won the Orton versus McIntyre match, because I think most people would have to look up who actually won the match. It wasn't about the finish of, who was better that night between Orton and McIntyre. It was about Jelly Roll and Logan Paul on the outside, that they were setting up the match for SummerSlam. But Drew needs to get back in the championship picture. Maybe he needs to hit a few claymores on Jelly Roll and just put him out of commission. And, they raise him up that way. But Drew needs some wins. That's all I got to say. Maybe that's the way they pay him back after losing this match, is they promise some sort of a big storyline in the foreseeable future. But I think most wrestlers, if they get put in the celebrity match, they know that Jelly Roll is going to make sure this is on Extra Entertainment tonight. I don't know if it'll find its way to Sports Center, but there's a good chance it will. Every, Pat McAfee talk show that's going to be out there. And plus, I think Jelly Roll is hosting like a big, is he hosting Jimmy Kimmel? Is that what it is? I think he's guest hosting, and Randy Orton's going to be on there. That's huge for WWE. Ever since John Cena really stopped wrestling full time, you don't really see like the Roman Reigns get invited on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. I don't really watch the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon as much as I would want to. But you always see the clips of whatever goes down the next morning. I think that's kind of why they do those shows still. But having Orton be put out there in big time press, I think it's going to be awesome. I don't know who watches those late night shows anymore, but I know that they're going to make sure that people know that this match is going down. Main event of night 2 is going to be Cody Rhodes going up against John Cena. We've seen this match at WrestleMania 41. These guys have been in the ring at Money in the Bank. We haven't seen them interact since. I don't even think we've seen John Cena since Money in the Bank. If he showed up on Monday Night Raw the next night, I'm not really 100% sure, but this match got locked up by the King of the Ring tournament that went down, where Cody beat Randy Orton in the final at the Night of Champions pay-per-view. I'm not surprised that Cena wasn't there, but if they would have used Cena on maybe the Raw after Night of Champions, I think that would have been a really big moment to sort of put this over. But if you remember the build-up to WrestleMania 41, every Monday Night Raw, it was on site between Cody and Cena. And Cody Rhodes kept on getting the better of John Cena, and they made it seem like, it was age. It was the rust on Cena, that he hadn't done it. He hadn't been out there as much. But then it all came out that it was all, a part of Cena's plan to sort of weigh down Cody Rhodes. I haven't heard anything about, what's his name? The little rapper guy, Cactus Jack. His name is whatever that rapper dude's name at. I mean, we all heard the rumors that he was going to be a part of the Money in the Bank. It was going to be a 6-man tag. It was going to involve Jay Uso, and we didn't. Oh, Travis Scott. We didn't see Travis Scott at all. I'm hoping that Travis Scott. I understand that they just came out with the WWE Topps cards, the Cactus Jack set. That's like so elusive. They're very rare. They're hard to find. The boxes cost a lot of money. The parallels that are in there are very expensive, very hard to get a hold of. But I'm really hoping that this Travis Scott deal with WWE is done. I think they hope they really see the writing on the wall. The Rock is not a part of any of the plans for SummerSlam. There's no storyline. I hope they don't bring it up. A lot like Cody saying that The Rock's offer to buy his soul is still on the table. But we have to think about Fanatics Fest. The Cody Rhodes interview where he basically said that his time as a babyface in WWE might be done. It might have ran its course. I don't believe it. I do know that WWE will run a babyface into the ground as long as they are cashing checks. Cody Rhodes, he is always in the top 4 superstars. More often than not, Cody is number 2, if not number 1. I think that Cena, Roman, and Jey Uso at times have topped him. But I don't think there's anybody bigger than Cody. I think he is the guy that carries the company to the final. But I don't know. I mean, we could see some sort of like a double turn. We are in August. It's August 2nd, August 3rd. More than likely, Cena is going to be on the Paris pay-per-view come the end of August. Maybe they could use August, September, October of, transitioning Cena to being the babyface that we all know him to be, where he sheds off the heel tactics and maybe Cody Rhodes picks him up. We all know that Cody knows how to be heel. It's not the fact that we don't think Cody could be a heel. I think he is more valuable to WWE as of right now. I understand you've got a babyface Jey Uso, you've got a babyface Roman Reigns as of right now. I don't know. I mean, they didn't think of turning Hulk Hogan in WWE the whole time he was there. From 84 and until 94, definitely you could see the writing on the wall. Royal Rumble 1992 when he was eliminated by Psycho Sid. The place went erupt. It was just like everybody was popping because they knew they were going to see something new. We had seen Hogan as champion our whole life, and as a little Hulkamaniac, I wasn't against that, but I'm just telling you what it really was out there. They never thought of doing it. It was WCW's move when Hogan joined at the Bash at the Beach 96, joined the NWO, and they did whatever. And then, of course, when Hogan goes back in 2002, they try to relive the magic of the NWO, and it really only lasted a month from No Way Out until WrestleMania. That Vince was like, I want the red and yellow. Bring the guy back. The people still love him. They would have loved Hollywood. I just don't think they would have booed him as much as they wanted him to. But immediately, Hogan went back to the red and yellow, and that's when they tried to revive Shawn Michaels' career, bringing him out to try to keep the NWO going and going from there. So those are the matches that we know we're going to get at SummerSlam. When looking at the matches that quite possibly could be put on there, Monday Night Raw, we had Adam Pearce talking with Dom and the Judgment Day in the back. Dom had his medical clearance that he is still injured. He's not going to be able to wrestle. I don't know. At first, I thought that they were saying that Dom was dealing with a broken heart because of the fact that Liv Morgan was not going to be there. I don't know if he has an actual injury, like to his shoulder, his elbow, his arm. I don't know what Dr. Note he keeps getting, but Adam Pearce basically said that he is going to be reevaluated. And, once it's basically said that he is able to wrestle, he is going to make Dom versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. That match is basically already out there. You should already be putting up the match graphic. That match is coming down. We have 2 weeks. Even if he's able to get clearance next week, is he going to get a clearance next week? We had the funny spot of AJ praying up to the heavens, and then basically when Dom tried to pray for the opposite, he was just praying against Dom praying. We haven't seen comical funny AJ since TNA trying to be Ric Flair in Fortune, and I don't even think that was supposed to be funny. I think he was actually trying to get that character over. And because it was so different than what we all knew AJ Styles could be, I know that Tom Cruise, Mel Gibson, all those good actors back in the day, they played parts that they were really not that person. They're just good actors. AJ, to me, we could all tell that he was not that dude back in the day, but just coming out there and just trying to be funny. I'm sure there was something along the way, with him and the Good Brothers in 2016. I know that the we beat up John Cena thing kind of got over, and that wasn't funny. Maybe they did something funny, but just like trying to make us laugh. I didn't think the glasses thing was the best thing, but I think he's gotten this. I'm watching you. I think he's really gotten that over. If they do a title change or not, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not the biggest contract talk guy, but they said that AJ signed a 1-year deal. It might be his last deal. Is him becoming Intercontinental Champion the big moment that's kind of going to end his career that he rides out on, I guess you could say. Julia for the United States Championship. I'm not big on this. I don't really even know if she could fight Chelsea Green or something like that. So Vega is another person. She was the former champion. Maybe they do some sort of a rematch. I don't know if she's got a rematch, but I don't even know if I've seen personally. I don't even know if I've seen the United States title match ever. Oh, I saw 2 at Saturday night's main event. I saw when Chelsea Green won, and I saw when Chelsea Green defended. Other than that, I haven't seen any because there really haven't been any. Solo Sikoa is the United States champion as of right now. I think there's no doubt in my mind at SummerSlam he's going to be fighting against Jacob Fatu. We saw on Saturday night's main event, Solo beat Jimmy Uso. Jacob Fatu will probably have Jimmy Uso, fighting with him and his family as they try to take over Tongaloa, the other Tonga, which is Hikuleo, and then what do they call him? JC, Jeff Cobb. What are what Mateo? I think or something like that is the last name they gave him. I love both of these guys, honestly. And I think that Solo building the My Family tree, even though people have drawn that it's the same exact graphic that they use for MJF. They look alike. The MFTs, I think that Jacob Fatu wins this match. He is a one-man wrecking machine. I think he runs through all of this group. He regains his United States Championship. I don't know where Solo and the family goes from there. But I think that Jacob's such a big star that they got to keep that train rolling unless they see him going to like the main event and the United States Championship is just something that's just not on his radar anymore. And he's going to be moving up the card to sort of being like an LA Knight guy, I guess you could say, that fights main eventers but doesn't really main event. But I don't know. His rise has been so fast. Maybe they actually think that he could get there. I'm not going to blow anybody away. Tag titles. I've got New Day. I think it's going to be a 3-way with the Raiders and the Judgment Day. Finn Balor and JD McDonough. I just, they said on Raw that they're going to figure out the tag title situation. Those are the only 3 teams I can think of on Monday Night Raw, unless somebody jumps over. So I'm just going to roll with that all 3 teams are going to be in there. Judgment Day, I think they're going to have a women's tag title match against Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. That team that they've been doing really honestly seems to work with Charlotte and Alexa. Charlotte was probably one of the most over women at the Evolution pay-per-view. I'm guessing it's because of her article that came out with the Athlete or Athletic Tribune, the same people that did the AEW documentary on the Briscoe brothers. I don't know how they are able to, have a working relationship with both WWE and AEW, but they found a way, I guess. But I wouldn't be surprised that Charlotte and Alexa win the championships, continuing on their storyline of if they're friends or if they're not friends. And I think it's just going to be a storyline the whole time, wondering who's going to turn on who in the long run. At this point, Alexa Bliss, I have given up on as a part of the Wyatt Six. I think that she has that sort of gothic, horror movie look, but I think they would have put them together by now if they were actually going to put them together. Maybe they have some sort of a storyline down the road, unless she's just trying to lure Charlotte in, and then we're going to see them turn Charlotte into some sort of a monster. Trying to think. Shoot. Somebody was doing that where it seemed like with the New Day, they were kind of hypnotizing Xavier Woods. I don't think it was Bray Wyatt. Maybe it was the Wyatt Six. Maybe it was Karrion Kross. I can't really remember, but I remember him kind of being like brainwashed, and maybe that's just something that they do with Charlotte there. But I think Charlotte and Alexa are going to win the tag titles at SummerSlam. The big decision, if they're going to do Roman J. Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed as a singles match or a tag match, I really think that they could do it as a tag match and it could be just as big. The interaction between Roman and CM Punk on Monday Night Raw was awesome. I just didn't understand if, the match was going on and Jey Uso came out to fight off Bronson Reed to help out CM Punk. And then Roman Reigns came to help Jey Uso because he had just gotten, speared by Braun Breaker and decided that was enough. Where was Roman Reigns when Bronson Reed cheated and got Jey Uso eliminated? Why didn't he come down at that point to beat up Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker? Was it because the Jey Uso, he couldn't get down there fast enough and Uso had already been eliminated and didn't want to help CM Punk, that he was going to have to do it on his own? Or did Roman just not want to see Jey Uso get beat up for no reason and he came running down there? Because CM Punk, you could see it on his face. He was like, are you going to help me up after he helped out Jey Uso? And, he put his hand out, basically like, pick me up. And then he just put his hands out like, what the hell are we doing here? It didn't really make any sense. But they're going to have interaction. It's just a matter of when the heck they're going to have interaction. And I think that it's going to involve that championship. I think that Roman is going to want to be the main dog, especially once CM Punk beats Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think it's going to lead us to Roman versus Punk, and I think Gunther's just going to have to wait in line and wait his turn. But the fact that Braun Breaker ran through everybody at the Monday Night Raw gauntlet match before getting to the end with CM Punk they could decide that they're going to do Roman versus Braun, and they needed to, emphasize him to be a big enough star that when they put out a match graphic to the non-big time wrestling star who just shows up and watches Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, the big four, that they're just not going to be laughing. Like, they just, set Roman up to have an easy opponent that doesn't really mean anything in the long run. They need to the people to have somebody that they can believe beat them. And the team Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, it really is that, because they really rolled through the entire roster, minus Seth Rollins's loss to LA Knight, which is mostly because of the injury that he decided that he could go on, even though it really set up LA Knight, just putting him out of his misery when he could have took the I don't know, what do they call that? Like, just the doctor just saying like he can't continue and taking the loss that way. But I think that's it. I mean, we've got 11 matches on here, possibly 12 if they can find an opponent for Julia. I think we've got 2 main events for both nights. Cody Rhodes and John Cena versus the Punk and Gunther on night 1. I think Jelly Roll, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul, I think it's going to get a lot of attention because how many people are down on Jelly Roll. I wouldn't be surprised if that night, especially into Monday and Monday Night Raw coming out of SummerSlam weekend, everybody is like, wow, Jelly Roll surprised me. I really think that he is a wrestling fan. I don't think he's just going out there to cash a check. I think he's actually training his ass off. As a man, he's lost a lot of weight, and that guy is over everywhere. He's on every kind of award show. It doesn't matter if it's country, if it's rock, it's rap. He's kind of relevant to everybody out there. I think that he really wants to do this. He's not going out there to embarrass himself. He wants to have a good match. And I think a lot of the celebrities that have wanted to be there in WWE have always, they've made sure they look good in the end. There definitely are a lot of filler matches on here that I would kind of wish that I could skip if I wasn't watching it live. But even though I'm not ecstatic about a 2-night ordeal, I think this honestly is a really, really good show. You guys let me know what you guys think. That's how I wrote them all down. I know my spelling on here, as I'm just writing it down really, really fast to make sure that I don't miss anything, isn't great. If you looked at it, I even spelled Ariel Hawani. I spelled Hawani 100% wrong. Be surprised if I got any of the letters on there right, other than the A's. But I don't know. That's going to be a good night. We're going to call it a night. So, the person who asked me about WrestleMania 42 with my buddies Ravi and Miguel, I'm still trying my best to put it together. I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on it, because when you put a lot of pressure on it, it's when somebody's just like, fuck it. But also, like, at the same time, the inside edition is that, like, Ravi and Miguel, I don't want to say they're anti WWE. They're just very, very pro AEW. And I can see them, we've tried to put together AEW shows in the past. In my mind, Miguel was always on that 2020 trip to Mike's house for Revolution in Chicago. That was the last one that I got to meet up with Ravi on a wrestling trip. But I'm pumped for Survivor Series. And we need good shows to put it together. If they can put together a couple of bangers and change the mindset, I think WrestleMania 42 will just be perfect, and that's just how it's going to be. But there we go. Tomorrow, I'm going to be going live 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern on the Rock and Knowles channel. That's my buddy Jeremy. If you tweet me, if you leave a comment here, you want to make sure I leave you the right link, I'll make sure I send it to you. I think we're going to be talking more about the weekend of professional wrestling. We're going to be talking about All In. We're going to be talking about Saturday night's main event, Evolution. I hope he doesn't ask anything about the Great American Bash, because I can't even tell you a match that happened that night. But make sure you go over there and check that out. I appreciate everybody that stopped by. As soon as this is done, I have to cut the Goldberg video. Oh no, because I made that on my phone. I'm just gonna upload the Goldberg video, so I'll have a video up within, I don't know, the next 30 minutes or so. And then of course I'll go through and cut through match by match. If you don't want to watch the live stream back, I'll have those videos uploaded possibly tomorrow. But besides for that, I got to go play a little NCAA football. I bought the game, I opened it, I put it in my PS5, and I still will never remember that every time you put a game in, I'm pretty sure it said, hey, 2 hours until this game is ready to play. I will never understand that. I have the game. I have the disc. Why do I have to put the disc in and wait 2 hours to play the game? When I bought an N64 game, yes, N64, that was my jam back in the day. When I bought WCW versus NWO Revenge, and I, ripped it out of that Walmart box. I never cared about the boxes. I threw the boxes away as soon as I did. So, I mean, I really honestly ripped those suckers open, grabbed the cartridge, shoved it in the N64, and pressed the power button. I was playing within a minute. I didn't read the instructions. I didn't know how to do any of the moves. I just figured it out. I was like, oh, why can't I just play NCAA football minutes after putting the disc in? I have the disc. I should be able to play it all. So I don't know. I'm going to go out there. I honestly didn't turn the PlayStation off. I just turned my YouTube TV on and then changed the analog. And hopefully it did its magic while I was watching something else. So it's Tuesday. No NXT for me. Wednesday, got to go to work in the morning. And write the order. Trash day. Got to take the trash out in the morning. I'm going to get out of here. Peace out, guys. Thank y'all very much.